Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now July 16th of 2025, and there is no doubt about it that by far one of the most insufferable hosts of The View is Whoopi Goldberg. We know that she's very unhinged. She says some of the most insane things out there, things that are not even approved by Disney executives, ABC producers and executives, and it begins to already backfire on how people perceive her. Now, we already know that Whoopi Goldberg has been doing this right from the get-go, ever since she joined The View. But one thing is for sure is that the Epstein files right now is a very big subject. We know that a lot of celebrities are getting a lot of backlash for how exactly they're beginning to actually go on that subject, and how it actually does drag politics into multiple programs out there, in this case with Whoopi Goldberg via The View. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, there's one specific example here as to why Whoopi Goldberg got in serious trouble with Disney executives, ABC producers, and a lot more than that. And we already know that Whoopi Goldberg is trying to do whatever that she can to actually boost ratings for herself, boost ratings for The View, and to really keep The View as a program alive and well. Now, what's interesting about this is that we already know that the Epstein files is a very interesting subject here. On one end, you have, of course, Trump saying that they no longer exist, that they're a boring subject now, and it's really beginning to become a very interesting subject because a lot of people are having, differing opinions on this, but I would love to hear what everyone has to say about that below in the comments. What's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with what Whoopi Goldberg recently did and exactly how it's beginning to backfire on herself from Disney executives. Now, with those like Whoopi Goldberg continuing to say some of the worst things yet and getting way too political, even for the Disney company, already Whoopi Goldberg sparked an internal scandal with the Epstein files between herself and Disney executives after bringing up the Epstein files and claims about Trump that backfired already in different areas, where Whoopi Goldberg is now in tons of trouble by Disney executives after delivering the following. So recently, President Trump, she says, and I quote, "The Epstein files are kinda boring and that they are flat out now magically don't exist. MAGA fools are being played right now, and they are being tricked by Trump and by the orange man that likes to call himself a king. And some of them don't even see it yet, but some of these MAGA-lights, as I like to call them, are now beginning to see the truth that they are being lied to by President Trump. That they are being lied to by the entire administration. First, the Epstein files exist, then they magically don't. And honestly, I believe in the Epstein files now more than ever because this man goes back and forth with his supporters. It's only putting us in a better position to take back the Senate and the House in 2026. Goldberg continues to say, "There is no doubt in my mind now that Trump is on the Epstein list, and now the new narrative is that the Epstein files and the list don't exist, and that it was all created by Democrats, and that it was a hoax. MAGA is being played by the orange man for good, and some of them are too stupid to even realize that. And honestly, right now, I wouldn't be too shocked if he's protecting other A-list celebrities that are on this supposed list that now Trump says doesn't exist." Apart from what Whoopi Goldberg, however, said here, already Disney executives are fuming over what Whoopi Goldberg said and how it's already beginning to backfire on the Disney company by now dragging the Epstein files conversation back to Disney. Executives reportedly had a very heated and argumentative conversation with Whoopi Goldberg in the midst of all of this, and specifically informed her to absolutely never bring up the Epstein files conversation again. Her comments about Trump and the Epstein files and the entire subject already turned off a lot of supporters and viewers of The View that are now leaving in droves as a result. Conversations are already happening on how they can get to replace Whoopi Goldberg on The View in 2026, and those conversations are said to be very serious right now. Now, Disney reportedly doesn't want Whoopi Goldberg discussing about the Epstein files ever again, and whether it's against Trump or for Trump. Now, guys, let me just stop right there for a second. Now, the fact that Whoopi Goldberg, is doing this in between a lot of on-air sessions for The View, and how it's beginning to backfire for Disney producers, executives, and how it's putting her into a very complex spot right now, this is exactly why they're having a lot of conversations of replacing Whoopi Goldberg, and they have been having those conversations for a very long time now. They just can't find the right host to take over for Whoopi Goldberg. And look, they've been trying to renegotiate with Kathy Griffin. to get her on The View, you know, trying to give her very expensive offers, and even she keeps declining that. Shockingly, I know, but what's interesting about this yet again is the fact that you have more and more celebrities hopping on the Epstein list, the Epstein files bandwagon, and their opinions are backfiring in different ways, in different directions, right? And I would love to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments. You know, what do you think about the whole Trump comments that were made recently about the Epstein files, the Epstein list, so to speak? I think it's very interesting, to say the least, that you have a lot of, you know, opinions now coming from celebrities and how it's really backfiring in unexpected ways. But the fact that Whoopi Goldberg, alright, this is somebody that should not even be getting political, and especially bringing up the Epstein files for a Disney-related program. And I can see why Disney really doesn't want anything to do with that, because it's not a good look for them, it's not a good look for Bob Iger especially, it's most certainly not a good look for, you know, the top 3 investors of Disney, the top 3 shareholders, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. However, moving onwards here, they don't want the subject going back to the Disney company, period, and Whoopi Goldberg is now under supervision, get this, from various producers of The View via ABC. In addition to all of this, the Epstein files subject is something that Whoopi Goldberg wants to keep talking about, and she is already pressuring Disney executives to change their tune against her. Goldberg reportedly lashed out at Disney executives and producers that they are missing out on a great ratings bump. However, Disney wants to dial it down a bit with politics regardless, something that Whoopi got very offended over. And look, the fact that Whoopi's defense here is that by talking about the Epstein files, by bringing up the Epstein files, it will actually increase ratings for The View. And if anything, you know, it's only making things more complex for The View, it's making things more complex for the Walt Disney Company and for ABC. This is exactly why The View is a floundering program, why it's only, you know, catered to a specific, you know, demographic out there, and that's it. They really aren't expanding their audience at all. That's why it's only barely staying afloat as we speak in 2025. But again, I mean, like I've said before in the past, Whoopi Goldberg just doesn't know when to shut up. She doesn't know when to actually call it quits when it comes to some of her political rants, her political tirades going on out there. And now going into the Epstein files is only making it worse. So look, we already know that the Disney company, they don't know quite what to do at this point. They don't really know what to do with a lot of the hosts of The View, people like Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg. The list goes on and on there. And I think that there's going to be a time when they have to actually make the ultimate decision on what they want to do with the program, The View. And honestly, I could see this thing getting canceled within a year or two if things keep going down this way. And if you have people like Whoopi Goldberg going on these unhinged, you know, comments about things like the Epstein files, etc., etc. But regardless of the fact, right, putting that all in isolation, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about Trump's most recent comments about the Epstein files, about the Epstein list. What are your thoughts about that? Whether you are a supporter of him or not, I would love to hear your comments on that below in the section. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.